Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Catalyst webinar series presented by the Education Committee for the Southern California PGA. The Catalyst webinar series is a bi-weekly educational platform for creating success and change in your club and career. Today's Catalyst is brought to you by our presenting partners, DRS, Digital Revenue Systems. Educate with elegance. Your facility deserves more than just static. Where screens speak luxury, digital signage designed to elevate golf, fitness, and wellness experiences. For more information, go to digitalrevsystems.com. We're excited to have Kevin Scott joining us this morning. He is the Chief Technology Officer for the PGA of America. He's been with the PGA for going on over 9 years. He's been the Chief Technology Officer for the PGA for the last 4 plus. He's going to be presenting to us this morning on AI and the modern golf professional. I don't think there's a hotter topic in golf right now or in the world than artificial intelligence. Just a little background on Kevin. He's and I got a question for you, Kevin, on this introduction too. You're the AI engineer at PGA of America for the last 10 years. You're also a advisory board member for Bain Capital Ventures. You're as the CTO, and you're also a member of the AI Center of Excellence.
Yeah, that's probably misleading on LinkedIn. There's a bunch of those venture capital and private equity firms that basically get CIOs and CTOs together for advisory input for their companies and their portfolios and that kind of thing. So I help to advise them on trends and what technology matters and what's just nonsense.
Okay, great. Well, Kevin was actually very gracious to join us last month at the spring meeting at Saboba Springs. He presented a little bit on AI as part of a panel with a few other presenters. President Allison Kurt was part of that as well, and he's joining us this morning to take a little deeper dive into that. And without any further ado, it's all yours, Kevin.
Great, thanks, John. Hey, everybody. I hope we haven't met yet, because if we have, it probably means that you've seen my spiel before. John and I were talking about it, but basically, like, there's a lot of people in Southern California. So hopefully the folks who are gathered here, if you've seen this before, if you like recognize it, you're going to see some familiar things. So yeah, your call. If you want to hang out or tune out, that's fine by me.
And Kevin, as we spoke, we've got 1,600 members in the Southern California section. It's the third largest section in the country, and I think we had 140 at the spring meeting. And plus, you were on a panel with 3 other people, and it's always good to take a deeper dive on this. So, and I think we have 60 people joining us this morning, most of which were probably not at the spring meeting. So this will be
Great.
fresh for most of the attendees.
That sounds fantastic. All right. So as John mentioned, I'm CTO at PGA, live and work in Frisco, and I've been here a little over 9 years with PGA, originally in Florida. So I want to talk today about AI. You've probably heard of it, and part of the reason why is because, like, if you hear a lot of hype, or it seems like all of a sudden everyone's talking about this, it's because that's actually really what's happening. If you compare the adoption of AI to other big technology trends in our lifetimes, smartphone and the internet, they took off at a much slower pace, even though a lot of that felt like it was happening rapidly. So you don't have to dissect this chart, but basically the green line on the top, the one that sort of ramps up the fastest, is the rate of adoption of AI that we've seen so far. The For the sake of most of this session, we're going to talk about AI and kind of interchangeably use the term ChatGPT. It's the most prominent tool. If I had a way to poll you, I would probably find out that most of you are using ChatGPT versus other things. There are lots of others that are fantastic and do similar things. So even though I may be saying, like, ChatGPT, you can really do all the same stuff that we're going to see here, that we're going to talk about, you can do with any of these systems. And so if you work in a company that's a little bit rigid about having Microsoft, you might have Copilot, no problem. PGA is actually based around Google, so we have a lot of Gemini here, but they can all do really similar things. All right, Basics. If you have never touched AI in your life, or ChatGPT, this is essentially what it looks like. It is a web page. It is also other things, but you can get to it as a web page. Just pop yourself open in a browser over to chatgpt.com. Again, there's a bunch of others. I'm not here to pitch ChatGPT, but just like for the sake of simplicity, it's just like this. So you can pop open that website, type in a question or a request or whatever, and hit enter. That's it. Lots of other things you can do in here, attaching images, or click on the microphone and talk to it instead of type. But this is the gist of it when everyone's talking about ChatGPT. This is what it is. I want to sort of walk you through a handful of different demos to just start thinking about all the different things that are possible here. So the first one, what you're going to see is ChatGPT. It's probably a little bit small on the screen. I apologize for that. Uh, and you're going to hear me speaking to ChatGPT, and then it's going to get transcribed and like pasted in. So I could type this, but you're going to hear me saying the prompt and then seeing the results of it. This first one goes pretty fast, so hang on. John, I forgot to do our audio check up front. Is this coming through? Did you hear anything? I'll try it again.
No, it's not coming through. Let me see here. In your share, I know you probably don't use Zoom that much because you're a Teams guy, but if you go to the share box, there's an option in there for you to optimize share sound. You see the share options?
Yes, I'm on share screen. Sorry, everybody.
It's okay. You see it, right? If you click on the share screen box, it gives you like a option to select different screens that you have. And then in the bottom right corner, it says share options, share sound, optimize video sharing.
Yeah, I'm gonna just try this again.
Okay, perfect.
Uh, how did I lose my tab here? Content only share sound. Won't let me.
Let me go back to maybe if I make you the co-host. Okay, I just made you the co-host. It should give you a different range of options.
Yeah, share sound is still grayed out. I guess that.
Really? It's grayed out on mine as well.
um,
We've had this problem with Zoom before with the PXG commercial. It's all too familiar.
well, that's going to take some of the fun out of this presentation, but I can make it work.
Okay. Sorry, Kevin. I should have
That's
asked
okay.
you if you had any videos you're going to play.
Um, okay, so I'm gonna speak literally live right now, and just sort of read the prompt to you. Write a job description for an assistant golf pro at a golf course in Michigan. Make a scoring rubric that I can use to evaluate all the job applicants.
It's amazing.
As an example, make up a resume for an inexperienced golf pro from Michigan. That'll work. Now I want you to score that resume against the rubric that you created earlier and explain each one of the scores. By the way, even though these videos are pre-recorded, they're running in sort of real time. So this is kind of the general speed that it goes these days.
And as you said, as you said last month, in 12 months, this will be bigger and badder than it is right now.
Yeah, that's right. Um, so let me just kind of explain what it did there. So we did four different things at once. You would kind of never do those four things together. But the first thing is we had to write a job description. So if you didn't know, you can write job descriptions. It could help you write one. Uh, the second thing is that we had it create kind of an objective way to think about anybody who might apply to that job. So based on that job application, what are the sort of scores 0 to 5 in whatever different categories, like a scorecard or a rubric for that. The third thing we had to do is write a resume. So if you didn't know, it can write resumes, and it can actually take an existing one and make changes to it or do whatever you want as an enhancement. And then the last thing, by the way, also all these examples were just made up. That doesn't matter. The point is that it can like create these things. It can think about what it's done. And the last step four was that it put those two things together and it basically said, now grade this resume against my job application description. And so it went through and kind of scored these things. I think our made up golfer scored 64 out of 100 or something like that. All right, on to the next one. I work for a golf apparel company. Can you make me some marketing copy for a new golf shirt? It's a performance shirt, yeah, but it actually has a retro look. Please incorporate that into the copy. Perfect. Please come up with three different names for the shirt. It's a good start, but let's come up with 50 more. All right. So what we want to show here is that basically, oops, keep losing that. But so it will help you come up with ideas. If it writes something for you, you can go back and say, yeah, I didn't like that. I want you to tweak this about it. It'll do that. And the other thing is that it never gets tired coming up with new ideas. That can be business ideas. It can be marketing ideas. It could be menu ideas or naming, like whatever the thing is, short or long. It's more than happy to continue to iterate on ideas with you. Let me tell you about my friend Kelly Williams here. Kelly and I have been on a road trip around the US. We've hit 24 different sections in the last year and a half talking about AI. Kelly's not with me today, but he usually tells the story about someone at his club in Kentucky who came in one day, a regular, and sent him an email afterwards, belly aching about the quality of the quesadillas. And so, long story short, the quesadilla is fine, but it's Sunday afternoon. Kelly's looking to go home and going into his day off on Monday, and gets this email. You kind of get that sinking feeling of like, well, do I like let this linger while I'm off, or it kind of might be eating at me. Uh, and so he went down this journey of kind of discovery with ChatGPT. Took the email, put it in the ChatGPT, and said, "Hey, Mr. Miller is obviously upset here. Um, Here's some things about our club. I want you to help me come up with an email response that would like be professional and appropriate in the situation, and blah blah blah." And no surprise, ChatGPT crushed it. Came up with a great answer. And then Kelly basically took that, copied it, and made the changes to it that he wanted. So, put it into his own tone and voice, make a couple of updates to some sentences here and there, um, and then read the whole thing and sent it off to Mr. Miller. Um, and 10 minutes later, gets an email back from Mr. Miller, saying like, "Hey, wow, really appreciate like the thoughtful response. Appreciate that you got back to me quickly. Um, and in reality, like the quesadilla wasn't that bad. Uh, but one of the things ChatGPT had done is in the response, it had sort of asked Mr. Miller for like, do you have any other comments or suggestions for ways we can improve it? And so he was a little engaged. And so now Mr. Miller is writing back to say like, yeah, actually, the place down the street, they cut it like this, or they stack it or something like that. Um, and so that gave Mr. Miller a chance to put his fingerprints on things. And again, Kelly takes the email back to ChatGPT, craft a great response, does that, tweaks it, puts it in, and sends it. So the story here is not really about like outsourcing your email to a computer. The story is really that when you get that sinking feeling of like, oh, that's gonna like chew up my energy for a while, or it's gonna I'm not in the mood to write a nice email or whatever the thing is. You can use these tools to basically help you out to come up with the right tone or some different angles. And like in this case, it decided to engage Mr. Miller and like ask for some of his opinions as well. Uh, so that's Kelly in the quesadilla story. We'll come back to him in a second. Identify the golf shot and tell me how to hit it. It's a fried egg lie if you can't see the picture. By the way, you can attach pictures to this. Looks good. Now turn that into a 2-minute script for my YouTube channel. All right, there's our script. Great. So what we're showing here is a few things. Number one, you can attach images. You can also attach documents and all this kind of stuff to give it more context than just text. The other part is that once it does something for you, you can transform it into all kinds of other like versions and formats. So in this case, we had it write a little like a blog post kind of thing or set of instructions, and then we transformed it into a script for a video. You could also transform it into a different language. You can take things that are short and transform them to be long, or long things and make them short. You can transform the tone. You can make it a document versus an email. Like all these different styles or types of writing are all just a kind of a sentence away. Well, that's not it. All right. This demo is definitely going to be less fun without audio. Um, and in fact, I will probably just skip it and tell you that in addition to translating text, what this shows is that basically you can take video and translate those as well. This might be handy for things like training videos or things like that, where you're trying to be welcoming, or if you have a visiting group or something. We actually use this to, in some of our instruction for volunteers and things like that. Um, so what this particular demo shows, and HeyGen is the company, is that it doesn't just produce the video in a different language. What it does is it takes the original video, which has like music and audio, or music and voice, and it creates a new version of it that has the same music in the background, but just replaces the voice on top of it. So it's not like it wipes out all of the audio and just adds the new voiceover. It keeps the old music. It puts in a new voiceover in the new language, and it'll do like 30 different languages. And the new voiceover is actually in the same voice as the original speaker. So if this was me speaking, it would have me speaking Spanish or Korean to follow up. So really kind of some amazing things there. And if there are like visible people on the screen, it'll like spackle over the differences and make their lips synchronized with the new language and all this kind of thing. So kind of an amazing technical capability that may or may not be of interest for you in your jobs. And again, sorry, I don't have audio to keep going through these. All right, next up, let's talk tournaments. The some all of you will probably recognize which system this comes from. So tournament management system, you can basically take a screenshot of your results. So you've got hole by hole, as well as overall leaderboard. And literally with this image as a screenshot, if I just paste this into ChatGPT and say, write me a summary of the tournament for my newsletter, it will spit out a nice article for you with and kind of like read through the storylines and this kind of thing. If basic text isn't your thing, you can say, I want that as a web page, and it will do the formatting and turn it into a web page for you. Another one that we're not going to be able to enjoy here today is that you can also ask, there's a tool called Notebook LM, and you can drop all the same stuff in there into Notebook LM and ask it to create you sort of an audio summary of the thing. And it will create what sounds like a podcast, basically, a couple different speakers talking about this. And you don't have to give them a script, nothing like that. You just send them like this really like that, and it turns into a podcast about the event. So if it's getting to be late in the day and you're not super eager to write something for your newsletter, this might be a way to help do that. I haven't seen it. I've been told that Blue Golf and Golf Genius are doing things to incorporate some of this stuff into their software. So maybe we'll see that soon, or maybe it's already there. Quick last one here. So this is a little video of Kelly's superintendent. So this guy in Kentucky, he's kind of Santa-like in the first place. And so in the off season, they're having some fun and basically wanted to show what they're working on a little bit. And so just for a little promotion for the club, they made this video of their super. Oh no, come on. That's a show. There we go. And so they just said, like, basically do a little holiday rah 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 with him, and it and made something fun. Right. John, we still good? Everything coming through?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
So, Kevin, just to interject, I mean, these are all amazingly positive strengths of, this new technology and this new capabilities. But I think a lot of golf professionals, particularly instructors, there's a little bit of fear about, if you're hitting the ball, if you're an amateur golfer and you're looking for instruction that's free, instantaneous, and you can get on your phone by just saying, hey, I'm topping the ball and hitting the ball left to right. How do I hit it straighter and more solid? And boom, all the instruction comes out on how to do that. The concern is that, not, we could be replaced.
hmm um, I, I think that the concern is valid. All think to be fair, but that same concern to me sounds a little bit similar. Like if you can say I'm topping the ball, how do I not do that into a search on YouTube? You would probably be able to find an answer there too. Um, and so in the same way that experienced coaches now understand that like YouTube is kind of good for business because people will go there, they'll like confuse themselves and they end up needing to come in to get sorted out with a coach. I think that kind of thing is very, very plausible here. I have a touch of advice on this. um, Back in the day when YouTube was coming out, some people sort of treated golfers or students as like they were acting badly because they were choosing not to go to a golf pro and instead they went to YouTube. But come on, we all like go to YouTube. That's not weird. Uh, and the answer in that moment for YouTube wasn't like YouTube is wrong. The answer was go get good at YouTube and like make a way to put your coaching brand there, make it visible, make it so that if they're going to search for a video, they find yours. Uh, and I don't know exactly what the like AI version of that is, but the somehow coaches who can find ways to integrate new technology into their business and where it's appropriate for some students and for some students it's not appropriate at all. Uh, but having that skill, that those arrows in your quiver, overall will be helpful, as opposed to sort of there's not much advantage in crossing your arms and saying like I wish this wasn't happening. Does it make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. All that said, it's a time of change, and it probably means that the rules are getting rewritten. You can decide if you want to be at the lead edge of that or behind it. Um, a couple things on what's been changing. Essentially, in the last like year or two, just stuff's just gotten better. A good example is that like I always make fun of Kelly with this picture because originally it was a real picture, and I just threw quesadillas in his hand with AI. But you can see like in the reflecting in the Wanamaker, like you can see the plate and the food reflected in there. It's pretty high quality, and if you were to ever try and do that task with Photoshop, you'd drive yourself crazy. So being able to just paste that original image into ChatGPT and say add quesadillas, and then you get a result like super super easy. Um, one thing that is maybe the downside of quality going up is that you can't believe anything that you see online. Like if it's on a screen and you're seeing it, like you have to like add a layer of skepticism about whether or not it's real. From deep fakes to like military conflicts that didn't actually happen, and all and famous people who did or didn't do things. It's, I don't see a good way that that's going to improve anytime soon. I think what has to change is that we just need to be more uh, deliberate and understanding that that's the state of where things are at. So don't believe what you see. A few things about what's coming up. And I'll just pause to say that this is probably like we're about to talk about the future, and we are already talking about AI, which is kind of like been disturbing and moving quickly already. So just recognize this is going to sound like science fiction, but I honestly don't think it is, and just want to open eyes in terms of where things will continue to go. Um, for all the things you can do with ChatGPT, don't be surprised when all that capability fits into your pocket. Um, for example, I mentioned that ChatGPT is a website, but it is also a mobile app, a tremendously popular mobile app. And Google has a similar thing called Gemini. Um, Apple has been doing like oddly not much, but they did recently agree to license Gemini. And so in back when people used to talk to Siri to try to get it to do things, that's actually going to work well now going forward. So Android or Apple, you're going to have AI in your pocket, just a button press away. Another thing to think about is that we're going to see more around what we call agentic commerce. That means that in the agents that you have in your phone or in your browser, you're going to be able to say things like, go buy me a stapler, or you're going to say things like, go book me a foursome on Friday morning. When What would be a great way to get a coach in El Segundo? So all of these things, you want the agents to be able to find you potentially, and make purchases from you potentially. That's going to become more commonplace. I know it sounds weird now, but it'll happen. Um, all right, continuing to move into the future. I don't know why we always call it in the industry, we call it physical AI. It's just robots. And probably a bunch of you already have robots or know somebody who does that are doing robo mowers or range pickers. Just as a reminder, like there are also things like for cleaning pools, there for cleaning carpets and vacuuming, um, all kinds of different things. So you're starting to see some of this happening already. Um, Usually, when I have a chance to poll the PGA members that I'm in front of, if they have a robotic picker or a robotic mower, um, I'd say it's like in the 5% range of people like raise their hands. Um, and I'm sure a year from now it's going to be more than that. So continue to increase. Uh, this is also going to sound a little bit weird, but like those robots are going to do all kinds of other things, including things like making smoothies for your guests and members, and they'll also be able to do massaging. The the Ritz and the Four Seasons both employ this particular massage robot. Yeah, the economics are decent. You can sell a couple of $65 sessions, you end up coming out ahead. Um, Other things to talk about around robotics are more can be utilitarian. So that could be security sorts of devices, either security things that can go and fly around your maintenance shed or your perimeter. They can be these what we call dogs, sort of four-legged wheeled robots that can get around. It can be delivery vehicles, like take this whatever fertilizer or supplies or something like that from point A to point B on the property. Um, the picture in the middle are food delivery robots. You've probably seen these in some places. I was in China some months ago, and every single hotel that we were in had these things, and this is just for like in hotel in room service, and they have the ability to go charge themselves. And then when they're needed, they come out, they grab the food, and they go into the elevator, and they can like remotely talk to the elevator, and it like moves. They can get through the building like that. Every single hotel had it. Uh, and lastly, different kinds of like wheeled, you can call this a drone, but like a wheeled drone for different types of delivery that you could potentially use for restocking or for um, being able to deliver things onto the course to players. Uh, Lastly, and sort of the most science fiction that we're going to go, are that eventually we're going to end up with robots that have hands and legs. And the reason I mention this is not to be scary, but it is definitely worth thinking about. That PGA professionals have a visible role, right? Like you're the mayor of your place. Uh, and usually we think about how is AI going to affect my job or like my kids? These kinds of things are very centric about me. Um, and when you as a leader and decision maker have the ability to pick up one of these things that can rake bunkers or um, set out coolers on your tees or stage carts, um, and they're willing to do that 3 shifts a day. They never show up hungover, and you can get them for $50,000. Um, when that's the case, and it's not that far away, um, we are no longer going to be thinking as much about how does it affect my job. It's going to be like, how is it going to affect my team, my business, my finances, my guest experience, like all of these things. And so just I'm intrigued by this shift, not just because it's like, you know, robots are nerdy and people like me think that's interesting, but really to think about how does that shift the mindset of how we think about work. So far, ChatGPT has kind of attacked a lot of knowledge work, and like we saw earlier, it can write stuff and all that kind of thing. But it's going to increasingly move into the physical world, and you'll at some point need to be thinking about how that will affect your team and culture and economics, obviously. Couple things. By the way, we'll send out these slides, I think, or make them available. But there's a whole bunch of different tools out there. If you have ever felt like you might be overpaying for a website, you probably are. You can build one really easily yourself with these tools. AI makes it a snap. Um, I'm assuming that quite a few of you have used Canva before. I think Canva's done a really impressive job from early days of like rather than having to say like I'm doing a task and then I go over to AI and I do something there and then I come back to my task. What Canva has done is they've like brought the AI into their tool directly. And more companies are doing this. We talked about the tournament management systems and that kind of thing. Um, but they've created a really it's a great product to start out with, and they've done a great job of pulling AI into it. Other things that are fun and sort of left to the reader. You can I mentioned that ChatGPT is a phone app also. That and Grok and Gemini, you can basically just press the button and talk to it. Um, like I have Grok in my car, and I literally talk to it on driving home and coming back into the office to sort of like sort out my thoughts. Um, so very strange. My kids think I'm absolutely bananas. But this is the world that we're living in that how we interact with information is just changing. So it'd be fun to give it a shot, see what you find out. Uh, I won't walk you through these companies. There are probably 20 times as many of these, but here are some of the ones that matter quite a bit. Um, Maybe notably, if you're interested in having AI help to answer your phones, there are some golf specific and general companies that can do that kind of thing. If you do a lot of meetings, you can use Fireflies and stuff like that to join and for recording and things like that. Um, Touch of advice, just like the same way that your place probably has a social media policy, you might consider starting an AI policy. Doesn't need to be complicated. Basically, just here's the things that, here's the do's and don'ts. Here's the tools that we do and don't use, like the ones that are paid for and licensed versus the ones that aren't. Um, we have a very strong opinion about having what's called a human in the loop. And I use the example with Kelly and the quesadilla story. So if Kelly would have just connected his email to ChatGPT and it automatically responded to Mr. Miller and Kelly never even knew about it, it's probably not great. Either from a quality standpoint or it's just I don't know, it feels wrong to me. And it can go off the rails. So the human in the loop stuff is intended to make sure that it meets your quality standards, and that it's really creating the messages and the content, the quality that you would insist on if you were doing the entire thing yourself. Few other rules in terms of no-nos. Just remember that in the same way that you wouldn't upload social security numbers or credit cards into some other like online system, don't do that with AI either. So what's old is new again. Just be careful about these kinds of things. And maybe keep in mind that like passwords would fall in there. And keep in mind that gift card numbers are just as good as credit card. So don't put those in there either. AI council just means like develop a cadence and people to think about this stuff going forward. Um, let's see. Okay, I'll talk about this one quickly. It'll take me 2 minutes. Um, Usually, I get a lot of people who ask me like, "Hey, Kevin, thanks for the presentation. Can AI do like my thing, whatever my thing is, XYZ?" Uh, and there's usually there's a way to think about this. And so if you're ever wondering, like, is this task doable? Here's how you can break it down. I'm gonna start in the middle of this picture with the brain, and this is sort of the guts of like every month the models get better. That's what they're talking about. Is this model part? Like, is it smarter thinking, able to do math better, like write better, be more logical, all that kind of stuff. So that's the sort of smarts of the whole thing, and that only gets better. Fine. Uh, on the left side of the picture is what you put in to the brain. So that could be like I pasted in an image of a fried egg lie. It would have had a pretty tough time answering any like I think I said, tell me how to hit this golf shot. If I wouldn't have pasted in that image, it wouldn't know what I was talking about. Um, so prompts, images, documents, all these kinds of things are inputs to the model. The other parts of it is you can think of it like in a self-driving car. the data that the model needs. It doesn't matter how smart it is. If it doesn't have any like cameras or lidars or any sensors, it's not going to succeed. So these are like how the world comes into the smarts. And then on the right hand side of this is basically like what it does with its results. We saw an example earlier where it could write a job description. That's fine. It's just text. And from there, if it can't interact with the world, then you have to like copy and paste that somewhere. But if the AI could talk to your job posting or your website or wherever you do that kind of thing, then it could post it automatically for you. And like uh, I mentioned, you could do a tournament summary as text. Uh, you could have it draft your newsletter if it has access to your Mailchimp or HubSpot or whatever. Um, in the self-driving car example, the self-driving car is not going to do very well, no matter how smart it is, no matter how many cameras and sensors it has. If it can't press the accelerator and turn the wheel and press the brake, totally useless. So if you think about these things, like a lot of times the limitation is not how smart it is. The limitation is that like it doesn't have a right way to interact with the world, or it like doesn't have all the information that it needs. All right, last thing, then we'll wrap up here. I would encourage you to find a way to develop a trigger or a habit of how and when to use AI for stuff. For me, a lot of times that's triggered. I mean, like I use it 20 times a day, so I live in this stuff. But as I was getting started with it, a lot of times I would leverage the feeling that I mentioned earlier with Kelly Williams, where when you get an email or like you come across a situation like something lands on your desk, and it kind of feels like, ugh. Like when you feel that like sinking burdensome thing, you can use that as a trigger to say like, is there anything AI could do to like help me feel less awful about this thing that just happened? And the answer might be no, but that's a good trigger because we like get hit with that a lot in the world, and a lot of times it might be, some. I do a lot of mentoring for high school kids. They come to me and they're like, "Hey, can you write me a letter of recommendation?" It's like, oh God, like from scratch. And so like that's a sinking feeling that's going to help you to avoid the blank page problem. Uh, so pick some things, just give it a shot, and really the most important thing here is go put your hands on it. Don't let it's not that helpful if people like me just go blah blah blah. The more valuable thing is for you to go type or speak or download or whatever you want and give it a shot and try for yourself. Once you do, I hope that you'll tell someone about it. Talk to your family, talk to your colleagues, your friends, and like what worked, what didn't. At PGA here in Frisco, like we have a very active culture of people talking about all the times that AI went wrong, and the ways that it went right, and kind of like when did it blow their mind. So all of this is creating exposure. It sort of reduces the barrier and sparks ideas for other people. So tell a friend. That's it. I apologize. It's a bit of a speed run through this whole thing.
No,
Don, how we
that
doing?
was great. Kevin, that was great. On behalf of the Education Committee for the Southern California PGA, thank you so much for coming on and presenting to us. There was a lot of good takeaways, especially, talk about that sinking, draining feeling. And there's so many things, just as a golf professional or a general manager where, people ask you to write letter of recommendations and AI can help you spit that out. Job descriptions, responding to, customer emails. It's kind of like the fear of using that, where it's like, okay, if I start using that, I'm gonna lose my grip on my job because I'm not going to be
Yeah,
attached to it because I have AI doing all these things for me, and I don't really know what I'm responding to people. But it's kind of that same fear that going back, not to date myself, but going back to like 2006, 2007, the the advent of the smartphone from the BlackBerry, and that fear of like, oh, I can't go to the smartphone. My whole life is in my BlackBerry. I got to have my BlackBerry. It's like how I do emails. It's how I do everything. And it's just, one of those, another step that's, making us smarter and helping us, that also ties back to a better work-life balance. If you could spit through these things more conveniently, and effectively without taking so much time, then it's definitely a good thing. But thank you so much for joining us this morning. We don't have any other questions from the field. Want to thank the Southern California PGA for joining us this morning. Your attendance on Kevin's webcast this morning will earn one PDR credit towards your education for this cycle. And that's all the time we have today. Thank you, Kevin. Have a great day, everybody. Take care.